Okay, I'm back with part two. Apparently, let me share my screen and I'll show you what happened. All right, so I have to not, there is a bar that you probably can't see right now that is a Zoom thing. I'm going to move it to the bottom of the page because I went up to, yeah, I went up to the top and I tried to create a new tab or something, and I inadvertently hit the button up there that stopped my screen share. So the rest of the dang video was just me talking, so you couldn't see. So now I'm in screen share again, and I'm going to take up exactly where I was. The perils of doing this kind of thing. Okay, so we talked about pages, you adding a page about yourself. Let me move forward. I'm not worried about testimonials. Comments at this point, you see here, have been 371 on the Keystone newspaper website, pending, approved. It looks like all have been approved. Set up a system for approval. Housing, so the article here is housing tries to stop vandalism, seeks to update security cameras, and then it says CCTV can dramatically increase the security of your property. That looks odd to me. That looks like it's spam. I'd need to spend some time taking an actual look at it. It was approved, questionable. This one by Brian then. Rudders opens new store in Kutztown, adds to gas station options for commuters. Okay. And then Brian says the home of the most overpriced for what you get food, all the gas chains, it's supposed to say. I'll keep driving the other direction to Sheets. Okay, fine. And what the hell is up with the stupid plastic containers for the hot food? Everything gets soggy from the condensation. So Brian is not happy with Rudders, but that's not vulgar, and it's not, it's not attacking any person. It's an opinion. So that one can be approved, uh, that kind of thing. So that's comments. Feedback. So there are responses here. I haven't used this. I would need to take a look at what this is about. Again, I'm stepping back into the role as advisor to the Keystone after about 3 years away. So I'm not sure what the feedback is here. My tendency is to comments and feedback and things like that. If you allow it, then what I do is I make sure that I preview it before it goes up. Jetpack, not worried about this at this point. I think it gives you some site statistics and security and things like that. I would need to take a closer look at what all that is. WooCommerce, if you want to sell stuff, you can go down the commerce road. We're not doing that right now. Appearance then is important. So out of these last things, appearance and then settings. So let me take you into appearance. I'll click on that, and then the menu pops up on the left-hand side. Again, am I still sharing my screen? Yes, I am. Okay, I'm gonna then we'll use the mouse wheel to scroll down a little bit. Okay, so here are themes. You can pick any you can pick from any number of themes here. Keep your eye on whether it's premium or not, and you can also filter here. Do you see on the right-hand side? Free. So everything down below is going to be free. And if you click on these dots, it will allow you to do a live demo. So you can take a look at what it's going to look like. You may have to actually activate in order to see what it's going to look like. So that's fine. You can use the two-window approach where you've got your live site up and you can make the changes and then refresh and then see what it looks like. So here are the themes. You have to play around with those. There's a lot of them. When I first started doing this, whatever, 10 years ago, there were a handful, and now there's dozens and dozens. Okay, and you can also customize. And here you are customizing your active theme. So it says right here, active theme is broadsheet. If you want to change it, again, there's another way to change it. The site identity, I'm going to click on that. Site title is the Keystone Newspaper Student Publishing Group, providing publishing support to KU students. You can add a logo. Be sure if you add a logo to create it yourself. Even if it's your own picture, you can't steal somebody's logo naturally. And there's a site icon, which looks like this. You can change the image or you can remove it. And then don't X out of here, just go with the back caret. So you stay there. Colors and backgrounds. This is all, again, customizable stuff. We tried to pick colors that were in line with, either black or this maroon here to keep us in line with school colors as best we could. Connect. Okay, now this is important. We're trying to figure out how to add more to this. It's got to be somewhere, but Molly and I are working on it. And what these are, the Facebook here is the Keystone newspaper, and that's right here. And Twitter, Keystone News, there's the Twitter. So that's cool. Fonts then. Fonts. All right, so I did change the fonts on this website. I thought that it could look a little cleaner, so I picked this font. I thought it made it look nice and readable. And just a word on that. There's a difference between serif and sans serif fonts. This is a serif font. You'll notice that the letters have feet. The R has feet. The I has feet. The F has a base, has feet. Here, sans serif, sans means without. If somebody says sans, it means without. You might hear it from time to time on TV, movies, conversation. Here, the RIF don't have those little feet. So those little, wing things, right? The fancy little things. That's what a serif font is. This means without. The reason I'm telling you this is because sans serif fonts are typically used online because studies indicate that people's eyes are more able to pick up on the reading, the characters, if they're simpler against the lighted background. Whereas serif fonts are often used to make things look more elegant on a page, on a printed page, so in print. Okay, so I picked this Poppins, and it was pretty plain, and it is a sans serif font. Header image. So the current header is this. You can add a new image. You can randomize headers if you want them to change. And I don't think I've mentioned this yet. We're trying to figure out how to change this. I think it's a slider. The pictures are great, but they're all from last semester. So we want some of the images that we're working with this semester to appear there. Trying to figure out how to do that. I used to know once upon a time. Menus then. There is a navigational menu, which is set at the top menu. And I think that this is the navigational menu. Let's see if news, freeform, sports, arts, and entertainment. And then there are pages within those. So news is news. Freeform is freeform. So this is a customized navigational menu. So we can create a new one if we want, and then activate that so it takes over for the old one. And you can set up, any kind of customized menu once you have various pages and sections created on the website. That's a little bit of a ways out. We're not going to worry about that right away. Content options. You can display either the full post or an excerpt. We're doing excerpts. We're trying to publish 5 days a week. And, if they get long, we don't need the whole page being taken up by the article. So we do the excerpts. Author bio is here. It says display on single posts. I'm really excited and interested about that. One of the things that we're trying to do is have author bios on the website, whether we create a category and individualized pages for each author, or into a single page with all of that information, or somehow links that attach to your own blog. That kind of, I'm thinking that might be the ideal thing. So you'd give us the link to your about page, and then we could add just your name on a single page. And if somebody were to click that, it would go to your about page on your blog. That's how we're doing all of this. So we'll see whether we're going to use this or not. There's, a couple of ways. There's always multiple ways to do these things, but that's what's in my head. Widgets. So there's sidebar widgets, footer, and small left. So we use widgets on this site. There's featured here, news, and then here there's Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on social media. There's an archives widget. I'm not going to dive into that right now. I need to move on to other things today. And then there's Creative Commons license. We are going to have a Creative Commons license on all of your blogs, and we have one here. It is the most restrictive available, and it does have legal weight. This is to prevent anybody from taking our stuff and like going into competition with us because there's a vendetta between two students that hate one another. No, you can't touch our stuff. I usually use pretty flexible on my own stuff, Creative Commons licenses, because I don't care if somebody borrows my work. I usually create my work with the idea of it being shared, because I'm not trying to make money. I have a job. I'm not worried about that, but it depends on your situation. Homepage settings then. Here's the difference between a website and a blog. A blog displays your latest posts, and that's how this is set up. A website displays a static page. So you have a choice. I mean, if you're doing blogs, I would assume that you're going to have the latest posts. So you're going to want to make yours look like this. But if for some reason down the road you want to make it more fixed, you can use a static page. Featured content. Tag name featured. Is that featured here? I think this is it. Featured. Not sure. Starting to run out of gas. Testimonials, AMP, theme. I'm going to skip past a couple of those. Here is your theme. So you can customize the theme, and I'm driving at this. So it says display date and social links in header. This was a problem that we were facing. I think I mentioned this in the first video. These things here, the little tweeter bird and the Facebook icon, these were paper clips, and they weren't social media at all. They were corresponding to news, freeform, sports, A&E, inquiries. It was a mess. So what I did is I figured out how to get in here. I unchecked the box, I saved it, I refreshed, I rechecked the box and saved it and refreshed, and it corrected itself. So the question is, remember earlier, there were these social categories. We would like to add our TikTok, YouTube, whatever else, so that it runs right across the top and you can follow. So we need to get that social media aspect going. And of course, we need to relook at these categories because we're not going to work with these necessarily. News and sports might stay. I don't know about A&E. Freeform, I think, can go away. We're talking about publishing, literary papers or, other types of informational style writing, maybe technology, maybe tech reviews, maybe, who knows? So that's all going to change. All right, let me go back. So that's how you customize the theme and additional CSS. CSS means cascading style sheets. So that gets you into the code, and we're not going to get into the code right now. This is a writing class. My classes are writing classes. So I take you into publishing by way of writing. And if that involves, hey, making a video and connecting things together and creating some web presence, it's all part of the publishing game. It's not a computer science class. So, that is out there. All right, let me go away from this. And I'm almost to the end. Plugins. You can add plugins to your site if you want to, not at this time. There are tools for marketing, and if you want to take it into monetizing it and making money selling products, you can do that. I'm almost to the end. My screen is still sharing. Settings is what I'm going to now. Oops. Okay. General settings. I'm trying to. All right. All right. What I'm trying to do is show the menu on the left hand, and then but I lose the meat of the page here. So general settings. Now here you can change the site icon here if you'd like to do that, or the site title, or the site tagline, and then be sure to save. You can make a logo here, pre-designed by Top Talent. Just add your touch. I don't know if this is free or not. Try Fiverr Logo Maker. That's up to you if you want to do that. Language is English. Time zone is New York, which is Eastern time. Your privacy then. Your sites are all going to be public because we all need to access them as we're working. But you do have the option to make it private at the end of the semester. If you're like, I want to take this offline, you can keep it private, visible to you, only to you and logged in members you approve. Everyone else will see a login screen. Footer credit and site tools. All right, let me get to the end of this then. This is where you delete your site permanently. Under settings, site tools, delete your site permanently. If we get to the end of the semester and you don't want it anymore, I'm going to encourage you to delete it. I'm going to encourage you to keep it primarily because I think it is an excellent place for so many students. It doesn't even matter if you're English and professional writing, but if you are, it's really important. But students from other majors, I mean, get some things published and put them out there and show that you can put together a website that is coherent and that works and that you've got these kinds of skills. I think it takes you a long way, even if you're not interested in going into publishing and all that stuff. I think there's, everything is online, right? So put your best foot forward. Anyway, if you don't want it, I want you to delete it. This is a multi-step process. It will say, are you sure? And then it will have you type yes in full caps, I think, and then it'll take it down. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I think I've covered everything. I'm going to stop my screen share and come back to me. Okay, so these two videos, I'm hoping provide enough information for us to really move forward on all these plans. And what I want to say before I end is that if you look on D2L at that single page schedule that I've set up with various assignments and the points that are associated with those assignments. Now, the schedule may change because, I mean, what I'm asking from you is fairly big and complicated, right? So I will move forward in a linear way the best I can. But what I'm saying is that you can tackle any of these assignments at any time. So if it says write a personal narrative, professional narrative about yourself, and you have an idea of what that might be, or I reference it in class, I think I did in my book. That is all in my book. You want to take a crack at that? It's like 3 sentences. You can do it. You don't have to wait for me to cover it in class, although I will do my best to cover it in class. So let me end with this while we're here. Okay, I was in the middle of making this announcement. So I'm just going to update that because I want to go to content. And so I know I'm going to reading and writing in the professions, but it's the same for technical writing. This single page timeline is what I'm talking about. I'm going to download it. It's going to be here and all of this. So, okay. So create a personal calendar and an email signature. You can do that. Personal calendar is a Google Calendar. I'm going to take the whole class through it, but if you already have one, you can show me and I'll give you the points in class. I may ask for an image, so that's verified, and then an email signature. You can just show me that in class. Really, I mean, for both of these, I think I just want to see them in class. That'll make things easy. Verbally submit area of interest. Many of you have done that already. We're creating the blog right now. Here's the personal narrative that we will post to the blog. And then we will move forward. So you can start moving into your first article. I know I'm talking to English 100 right here, but you start doing this work. Don't wait for me to come into class and say, okay, your assignment now is. I'll do my best to remind you, but this needs to be self-motivated. I'm putting you in a position to be successful in the world of publishing. So you need to start generating your own material, even if it's a rough draft and then you have questions about it. In tech, we'll be moving on to, through the assignments. The recipe is the first one, and then I'll map out the others. Okay. I don't think I'm sharing my screen. So back to that. Let me share my screen real quick and just show you what I'm talking about. Okay. This thing, which I downloaded from content, single page timeline. Looks like this. Creating a personal calendar, verbally submit area of interest, create a blog, personal narrative, all that stuff. Get started on it. All right, I'm done. Thanks. I'm out.